Hello, Peter Hewitt, L'Artistino. I've had a number of people asking me about how I go about making colour charts for all my colours. Now, you've seen this book appear quite a few times in some of my videos. I'll give you a quick look through it. But I bought this several years ago and I started to document all the colours of every art supply that I owned. The book itself is one of these. It's a Strathmore visual journal, the drawing one. Strathmore makes a number of visual journals with different types of paper in it. This one is the drawing one, which I feel is most suitable for the variety of different art mediums that I use. When you buy it, it comes with this little card cover, which you can rip off if you don't want, or you can keep. It has a sort of a generic crocodile skin patterned top, or a snake skin patterned top. Actually, it's more crocodile pattern than snake pattern, isn't it? That you could decorate if you're an art journalist. It will certainly take paint and all that very well. When I talk about paint, I'm talking about acrylic paints there. This is actually my drawing book. So you'll see there is drawings in there, a few things that I've done. The paper is very nice. It's a thick card. It'll stand up to a lot of wear, and it's also very well spiral bound, so I know this thing can be knocked around for years and it'll still hold together for me. This one that I've used for quite a while now, as you can see, it's been carted around everywhere and it's been used quite a bit, and it's still holding up really well. I start off always with leaving a few pages bare, and then I put out the names of the different colour groups, and in this particular set, which is my Faber-Castell Polychromos, because it was the 36 set plus a whole pile of other colours that I knew I was going to add to it, I've done it over 2 pages to give me plenty of room. If I had the 120 set, I would probably have gone over 4 pages just to make sure that I could fit it all in. Give you a quick run through of what I've got in here. Some of this stuff's really old. These are my original Prismacolors. I had a little set of 12 and a couple of odd colours. They've since donated them to a young aspiring artist to use. This is a very old set of Staedtler Aquarelle watercolour pencils that I bought, I think, about 1986. As you can see, they've stood the test of time. They dissolve very well. And my Pastel Pencils. People ask if I've got them, and I do have some Pastel Pencils. They're the Carbothello ones. Again, very old, but you can still buy them today. I found putting pastels in here, soft pastels and pastel pencils, you really have to seal them because they will smudge like crazy, and I've had to put several layers of sealant on just to hold them in place. Okay, these I no longer own. They were a very cheap set of Watercolor Wax Pastels. There's my Derwent Artists. Again, I've gone over 2 pages for that. There you can see how much they get used. They're a bit sort of scruffed over a bit with pencils. My little set of Derwent Studios that were given to me quite a few years ago. That's a little 12 set. My Pelicans, I love these. I absolutely love these. This is a watercolor set that I have. Actually, it's not really watercolor. I think it's gouache because it's more opaque actually than watercolor. Love, love, love them. Okay, I do have some Dylusion ink sprays. Fantastic for art journaling. I haven't put them in here yet, but there you can see the grid that I originally create before putting the colors in. Now, a little word on that. I'll demonstrate it, but I just space them out by eye, but you might like to use a ruler to space it out on your pages if you're going to follow this technique. There's my collection of Sharpies. I think I've got every Sharpie colour in production. Fine liners, Staedtlers, the Derwent Graphitint. I've never spoken about my Graphitint pencils. I'll leave that for another day, I think. I haven't coloured in anything in my colouring books with them, but I intend to. Derwent Metallic Pencils. These are water soluble. Again, I'll go into that. These I don't own anymore. They were a very cheap set of student acrylic paints. And I've got my golden acrylics, which are very high quality acrylic paints, and some assorted ones I've used for different projects. My Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pens. A word of warning, This paper isn't very good for showing up how well your markers are going to perform. As you can see, they look quite dull on this paper. It's not the best. The paper just, the ink just sinks into it and dilutes it. It's probably not a good example. If I was really being picky, I would probably get another piece of paper and just glue it in over the top. A piece of paper that would be better for showing off the qualities of markers. A word of warning, this paper is quite good with water-based markers. It will bleed through with the alcohol-based markers, so you can only use one side for them. My favourite Derwent Inktense pencils as well. I'll demonstrate how I do that. My Caran d'Ache Neo colours, I've bought them all mostly as singles. You haven't seen me use them in my colouring books yet. No, I should. Again, that's another one I'd like to have a go at. My jelly rolls, my big markets. Again, these are the alcohol based, and as you can see, they bleed straight through. So you'll have to use just one sheet for those. My little travel set of Winsor and Newton Cotmans. My twinkling H2Os. These are glorious. Seriously glorious. Look at this. Oh, look at the shine. Oh my God, so shiny. They're infused with mica. They're fantastic. I'll have to do a tutorial with them. They're little paints. They come in little pots like this, and they're glorious. My little Liquitex Basics set. I bought the 36 set on Amazon. I'm a bit ho-hum about them. Some of them are nice. Some of them are just plain awful. In fact, I've put notations saying which ones were good and which ones were really bad. Dilutions, acrylic paints, all good, all beautiful. Little Microdor aqua painters. Derwent has recently released the aqua painters as well under their names. They're identical to the Microdor ones, but twice as expensive. So I've got the Microdor ones. They're paint pens, little ones with fine nibs. My Lumieres, again, lovely shiny. I think they're more acrylic paints, but they're again mica infused, so beautifully shiny. Oh, imagine the special effects you can get in your colouring books with this. I have got to use them for colouring books. I will. I promise you in future I will. My distress paints, these come in dabbers. These I use for art journaling. Nice way to get a good layer of paint, and this paint's great because you can draw right over the top and it doesn't slide off. It sits quite nicely on the paint, plays nice. These are my small collection of Faber-Castell aquarels, and I bought these to complement my Derwent Inktense pencils because I wanted the very light shades, which of course are very hard to achieve with the Derwent Inktense. This is a set of markers that I bought, marketed by Microdor. They're similar to Tombows but smaller, and I don't think as good quality. I probably won't use these again. These will probably be donated, I think. Okay, my colour balloon sprays. This is when I first started collecting Tombow markers, so there's only a few light ones. As I recommend to people who are starting out with Tombows that can only buy them individually, start out with the lighter ones, and that way you can put them down and then lay a pencil over the top, and then gradually increase your range to what you want. That's my recommendation anyway. I've since bought the full range, but I haven't put them in here yet. They will eventually get into here. My Gelatos. Lovely shiny Gelatos. People have asked me about these. I love them. I don't know how suitable they are for colouring books. I'm sure if I gave them a go I could make it work, but I've yet to try them in colouring books. I certainly use them a lot in my own private art. Do you think I like gel pens? I love gel pens. This isn't even all of them. I've kept these so that I can find a shade of gel pen that I want if I'm after a particular shade. So these are just random ones. All of these are cheap sets, by the way, except for my Smiggles ones, which are with an S. And as you can see, the expensive ones are no better than the cheap ones. And often I find the cheap ones are better than the expensive ones. This set here is just the tin set of 50 that come in that lovely pale blue case. That's the colours you'll get with them. These are my dream paints. These are my Schminky watercolors, and I use them for my serious art. I love them. My husband very kindly bought me the set of 24 in a tin for my for Christmas, actually, Christmas last year. These are the little little blocks of colour, not the tubes. And my latest Mitsubishi Uni 888 pencils. As you can see, I've got them there. Right, now that I've run through, let's talk about the types of books you can use. I recommend this Strathmore one, but you don't have to use the Strathmore. You can use a nice cheap little one like this one. This is just a stock standard, this one's actually marketed by Quill, but it's just a stock standard book with cartridge paper in it, fairly thick. You might find it's a bit too thin with some of your water type mediums. There we go, I'll pop it in the center for you. This one is one of my art books. It's actually one of my little scribbly art books that I experiment with different color mediums in. If you want me to show you my actual original art sometime, leave me a comment below and I'll think about giving you a little tour of what I do outside of coloring books. That's if you're curious. Another cartridge paper one, which is fairly cheap, is another one by Quill. You'll find equivalents in your own art shops wherever you are in the world. Basically, you're looking for a book with fairly thick cartridge paper, about 110 GSM upwards, and that will do the trick. This is another one of my art books. This one's a little bit more experimental and it's got a few more things that I do. All this is original art, by the way. Again, if you want a tour of it, let me know. Drop me a line down below and I'll look at doing a art tour of my journals. A couple more examples here I've got. This is a lined book by Smiggle. It's just a lined writing journal. If you can't get anything else, this will be good enough, and it already provides the lines, so you've got nice neat pages. The paper will be thinner, unfortunately, but still great for pencil. Or just any old sketchbook, or this is a nice traveller's journal I picked up on the cheap. I think I bought it for $5. They'll all do, but I do recommend a couple of things here. You want, if you're buying one that's bound like this with a spine, you want something that is going to lay flat, because if it doesn't lie flat and stay open, it's going to drive you nuts trying to keep it open while you're working. So test that out before you buy it. I do recommend you go for spiral bound, just because when you flick them open, they stay open, and you can just pop them in half if you lack space and you need to reserve a little bit of space for your work. Anyway, so how do I go about creating one of these pages in this book? I will use this one just to demonstrate, and I'll get to a blank page. Okay, there's a blank page. I start off with a pencil and I loosely create the sort of lines there so I can keep it neat. And I want 8 different colours, different colour sets going down, so I want to evenly space 8 little lines for the headings. Now you can eyeball it or you can work it out. We've got here, let's put that in the centre so you can see what I'm doing. I've got about 16 centimetres there that I could use. I'm going to make them 2 centimetres apart. I think it's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's 9. That's okay. We can have a spare down the bottom. You can work the maths out for yourself depending on the size of the book you've got. This one, I would say if you went maybe 1 inch or close to 1 inch, you'd be getting around about the same amount. So anyway, once you've got those figured out, you want to add the titles for each colour. Just make that run a little more. If you want to be doubly certain that you don't make a mistake, write them in pencil first to make sure you've got them right, and then go over them with pen. I'm just going to start with the pen here. Put your labels on. I like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Now depending on how many pinks you've got in your set, you might want to put in pink, brown, and then black, white, grey, metallic down the bottom. They should all fit in nicely. So sorry, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I said 8 before, I meant 9. Hope you watch this before you start. Okay, put the title of whatever art supply is at the top. Now grab your pencils out, or whichever art supply you're going to document. For this, I am going to use my old Fun Stuff pencils, I think. I've got them already out in here mixed up with my Faber-Castells. So I'll go through and I'll look for the reds. I've got the red there, I've got a red there. We shall begin by just putting down a swatch of each. Now if they have names and you want names, or if they have numbers and you want numbers, you can write them underneath, the name and the number. Keep an eye on how many of each colour you're going to put in and calculate how much space you're going to need for them, so you don't end up at the end of the page and still have a couple of colours that you need to include. Otherwise, I mean, you can find ways to stick them in, but it looks a little messy. Right, where are we up to? Orange. There's only really 1, 2 oranges in the Fun Stuff. 1. This is a, what did I call it before? It's chicken flesh coloured. Have yellow. I've got a couple of yellows in this. But you can see where we're going with this. And that basically is how I go about sorting out my colours. And that way, when I want particular colours, I just flick through my book, find the appropriate medium that I'm using, and I can see quickly which colours I want and how it's going to look as soon as I put it down. This is very important, I think, for media such as pencils, where the shaft of the pencil, the paint job on it, does not actually match what the core will give you. So you can see immediately what's going to be what. Most pencils I find are fairly accurate, some of them are way off the mark. But what about wet media? What if you want to document your doing Inktense pencils? Very important, I recommend you do that because of the colour change when you add water. Or something like your Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürers, or any other watercolour pencil you have. How would you go about that? Okay, I'll show you. Again, you want to put a swatch of the original colour down. Now leave that swatch the way it is and do another swatch next to it. This will be the swatch that you're going to activate with water. So you can see how they perform both dry and wet. Just start with it fairly intense at one side and then just shade it out, okay, as you go, so that it gets lighter as you go. Now take a brush with water, a little bit of water, or you can use one of these aqua brushes like this Kuretake one that I use from Japan, and activate your colour. You can see that's quite thick, so what I'm going to do, because I want to see how it looks when it's thinned out, I'll get rid of the excess here and spread it out a little bit so I can see what it's going to look like as it gets thinner. So I know what it's going to perform like if I want a thin layer. And there you go. So now you've got what the original pencil looks like, and what it looks like activated, and what it looks like thinned out. And this is exactly what I've done in here. I've got the original Inktense, and then I've got it fairly thick at the start and then graduating out. Okay, and that concludes this little tutorial on how to make your own colour swatch book. I hope you're enjoying any colouring adventures that you are currently on, and until next time, happy colouring! I hope you're enjoying any colouring adventures that you are currently on, and until next time, happy colouring!